Today's episode is a little different and something you might not expect from that or the money coach. Today, I'm going to talk to you about spending money. I've just got back from a 4-night kid and husband free getaway, and what came out of it surprised me. I'm going to share with you why you should get away from your day to day responsibilities and how it just might actually help you make more money and grow your wealth. Want to find out more? Listen on.
Just a quick note before we dive in. Everything I share on this podcast is general in nature and does not take your personal circumstances into account. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and nothing you hear on this podcast should be taken as personalized financial, business, taxation, or investment advice. Before you make any financial decisions, please seek guidance from your accountant or a qualified licensed financial advisor who understands your specific situation.
So, a great place to start is actually why I decided to go away without my husband and children. So, there's been a lot going on lately, globally, with my family, marriage, kids, stress around our house and renovations. And sadly, we lost a family friend, which, as you can imagine, is quite emotional. So I've been feeling really mentally cluttered, a bit reactive, and not my usual self. It's felt like there's lots happening. Like I feel so busy all the time, but it doesn't feel like I'm actually moving the needle. So some of the subtle signs were things like overthinking, feeling this maybe like low level burnout. And something I noticed, which is very unlike me, was that I was avoiding making decisions and actually getting in and looking at our numbers. I just felt like there was so much going on that I just didn't have the time and energy to be doing it. And here's the thing. When your brain is noisy, when you have so much else going on and you stop paying attention to the things that are important, including your money, you actually are missing opportunities and potentially leaking money. So this all kind of led me to this point where I said, I am going to get away. I think it was actually my husband's idea. He said, why don't you get away for a bit? Go have some clarity, get a bit of space. And I thought, do you know what? I'm actually going to do it. So I booked the trip super last minute. It was a 4-night trip, and I got this amazing package, which included flights and accommodation. And the package actually included this 2-bedroom apartment in Early Beach. So why Early Beach? I was actually born in a little town called Proserpine in North Queensland, Australia, and it's the nearest airport to Early Beach. So I haven't actually been back to my birthplace, and I haven't been to Early Beach either. I hadn't actually heard a lot of great things about it, but I decided it was somewhere that I really wanted to go. And so when I was heading up there, I didn't have these plans mapped out. I didn't have anything that I wanted to do. In fact, I intentionally wanted to be bored. I had some vague intentions. I was like, I want to do some meditation, some yoga, some reading. And really, I just wanted to chill. Now, in hindsight, me being me, I actually really struggled with this. I did get some beautiful downtime, don't get me wrong, but the time did seem to fill up surprisingly quickly. Also, another thing in hindsight, even though 4 nights sounds really spacious, it's actually only 3 whole days. So it wasn't as much chill time as I'd hoped for, but it certainly was really beautiful and much needed. Particularly, one of the things that I did, and this took up one of the whole days, was that I hired a car because I really wanted to go back and see the hospital, Proserpine Hospital, see the house where my parents were living in when I was born, go and actually see a little bit around Proserpine. And I also went out to a beach, which is called Conway Beach, and also to the Cedar Creek Falls. So it was a bit of a sightseeing type day. I also did a boat tour to go out and watch the sunset one day. So that was a full day of getting out and doing bit of sightseeing and going around and things like that. But aside from that, each day was nothing locked in. I did a bit of work each day just to stay on top of the business. I went to the gym. I did some big, beautiful walks by the beautiful aqua green water of Airlie Beach. Oh my goodness. That place is so pretty. I was blown away by how gorgeous it was. Proserpine, not so much. It wasn't terrible, but Airlie Beach was certainly the highlight of up there. I also did some reading, which I realized I still love reading, and I haven't carved out the time to read lately. I had some big, long conversations with girlfriends and family members. And yeah, I just had some time where I just sat and did nothing, stared at the water and chilled out. My key intention wasn't to jam my days full. It was actually just to be quiet and finally hear my own thoughts. So, what were the ahas or the takeaways from this experience? Firstly, was an energetic reset. I definitely am still feeling this. My nervous system calmed down, and I really had that when you're just so busy all the time, you've got this, oh my gosh, busy. And when you actually calm your nervous system down, you go, oh, everything doesn't need to be such a big rush. And when you have calm nervous system, you are able to do better thinking. In that calm, in that quiet, I had some ahas around alignment and identifying some big areas that were out of alignment for me. So one of them was my current load. So both the actual load that I realized that I've been carrying around my household and the mental load around that as well. So I had a bit of an aha. I need to be asking for some support in my relationship and in other ways around the house. And also there were some things in my business that I realized they're just not really clicking as they are. And realizing that needs to change. The next thing that happened when I calmed the nervous system and got into alignment was having the clarity. So one of the things that I've recognized is I've been really dragging decisions in some areas, which has been, when you know that something's got to change, but you just keep ticking along and you don't actually confidently make the decision to move forward. And having the space away, this really came to the forefront. Some big things that I moved forward with, making some decisions around the house, the renovations, and just making some big decisions to actually get things moving. Next is discussions in our relationship and our marriage. Next is investing around getting some extra support around the house because our last cleaner wrapped up, wasn't working out. And me being me, I'm like, I can pick that up. And at the start, you can. And then bit by bit, it starts to build up and the resentment around it builds up as well. So realizing that we need to get a cleaner to help around the house again. Another big aha was looking at our household revenue streams and having some clarity around that. What do we need to do to create some change in this area? So those were my ahas. And I wanted to share what the money lessons might be that are relevant for you. Firstly, the power of being quiet, of getting away from it all, of slowing down to speed up. And that's the first thing that I really want you to take away. Sometimes you really have to slow down to speed up. Next thing, often the ideas around whether it's making more money or better managing your money, the actual idea itself is usually simple. But what happens is that we overcomplicate things. The thing is, we usually don't need more strategies. We just need this space to be able to execute the right one. And the next one is that you likely already know what you need to do. You probably had niggles and you've just been busy, so you haven't had the space to actually hear it. Most people are trying to grow their wealth by doing more. And what they actually need is just to be able to think better. So if I've had so many ahas from my little solo getaway, why doesn't everyone do it? Like, why hadn't I done it sooner? Here are the common reasons why. People say, I don't have time. Simply don't have time for that. I can't possibly leave, whether it's your pet, your kids, your business, your partner, whatever it might be. You think, I can't do this. The next one might be it feels indulgent or we can't afford it. And I can totally relate because it does feel really indulgent, especially when you have a family, to up and go away, particularly on your own. But here's a flip side to the thinking around that. It's expensive not to do it. Right before I went away, I joked to my hubby. I said, me getting away for a few nights is much cheaper than a divorce. He looked at me with big eyes. But seriously, whatever it is that you are struggling with right now, whether it's your business, your health, your finances, if you don't carve out the time to prioritize, it will end up becoming a much bigger and more expensive problem. Now, I completely recognize my privilege here, and perhaps getting on a plane and going to early beaches outside your budget, or going to a retreat, or completely getting away. But what about taking a few nights and going and staying at a family member or a friend's place, carving out a couple of hours and going to a yoga class? Or even better, what about 3 hours, carve it out, of just you going and sitting on a park bench or a beach or going somewhere like in the rainforest and just sitting and being quiet? No sitting and scrolling on your phone or chatting, just you and nature and your brain. Because spaciousness is really where the magic happens. If you can completely get away, I highly recommend it because trust me, I have come back feeling so much calmer, happier, and clearer. And I'll definitely be booking in another solo getaway before the end of the year. I'd love to hear, have you ever done a solo retreat? Or would you love to? Drop me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Clare_Wood_coach. That's CLARE_Wood_coach. I would love to hear if this has inspired you to have a getaway, or if you've done it and you had any ahas. I would love to know because it's been amazing for me. Thank you for your patience. I know this is a bit of a different episode today, but trust me, when you get quiet, it can have a really positive impact on your money. All right, have a fabulous week, and I'll chat to you again next week on the Intentional Money Show with Clare Wood.